Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is a great general question, and that is how do I heal from a relationship with a covert narcissist, or could even have been a covert psychopath? It's important to understand that this is for you. This is all about you. When it comes to healing in a relationship from a covert narcissist, you have to realize that there's a certain degree of codependency or dependency that will be involved in the relationship, which then creates a guilt if not continued or upholded, or remaining loyal or committed to, standing by your word, being a man of your word, a woman of your word. Have you sort of unconsciously professed, that you would do anything for this person, including sacrifice all of your happiness, your belongings, your relationships for this one person? I mean, to what degree are you operating under a self-limiting belief which has this sort of tone or feeling to it that that they are what's the focus that has to be taken care of? This creates codependency when other people's needs constantly preside over your own. You don't, catering to somebody's needs, catering to their whims, pivoting and doing a dance around them. This is known as pathological self-importance that you might see in a covert narcissist. They will set the terms, they will set the rules, and oftentimes the terms and the rules you don't know how to work with. They want you to play by the rules, play by the game, but they don't give you the rules or the game. So there is no common ground. It creates confusion, dissociation, and then, oftentimes a need to cope. And part of the coping mechanism is becoming codependent. Codependency is a coping mechanism in order to survive, in order to live, in order to make your emotional ends or your physical ends meet. I mean, you might be living with this person and found that you have established a long track record of taking care of this person's needs and always being there and treating them as more important than you, respecting them and not respecting yourself. And then you're not getting like in return. That's the dynamic, that is the interplay of exchange that you will see in a relationship with a covert narcissist. And there's oftentimes a feeling of guilt or grief that you have not given enough. It's because they have an insatiable need to have power and control over energy, the flow of information, the relationship terms and conditions, and will oftentimes spring these up on you, or you don't even know what you are dealing with. But the covert narcissist has all these sort of floating around in their mind. The problem with the covert narcissist is that they are not shared. You don't really know what you're dealing with. They don't share it themselves. They are not open. They conceal their true feelings, their true thoughts. They are covert. They are, beyond perception. Their feelings and thoughts don't wear on their sleeve. They can be very buttoned up, tight-lipped, a few words, but that does not mean a few thoughts or a few actions, which can have a negative or deleterious effect on you depending on where you're at in the relationship with them, because part of the relationship creates a need to then cope. So next thing you do, you find yourself in a coping situation where you need to manage. And, oftentimes these are called, in psychology, called a defense mechanism. Just like you might see in a desert, where you've got these cactus who have these spikes that look like toothpicks. That's a plant defense mechanism. They've got prickers all around them, so coyotes or whatever stuff goes on in the desert does not eat them. It's a self-protection. Nature has, it has evolved. So you evolve in a relationship very much the same way. In order to sustain your life, you have to develop a defense mechanism. What is the main one we see with covert narcissism is codependency, which means let me put you first, let me put you on the pedestal. You are the one who is to be the center of the attention. You are the one with the degree. You're the one with the smarts. You're the one with the height. You're the one. It's all about, let's do a dance around you. Let's bask in the glory of the narcissist. You are the one. So oftentimes that's a very feel good, let me take care of you. Let me, next thing you know, you're making their meals. You're doing their laundry. You're buying their clothing. You're setting up their house. You're paying their bill. Whatever it is, the extent, you'll find that you're doing a lot for them. Codependence means hollowing out your own self-importance and filling in your own needs, depriving yourself of these, very much like depriving yourself of food, water, air, shelter, and then putting them first. So it becomes like this sort of self-sacrifice. So there is a payoff in the beginning to sort of, yeah, let me just give up everything for you. And then it might feel like that, oh, well, here's this selfless act, and then proving generosity in the relationship. This will backfire. This will backfire. If you end up over obligating, becoming a yes to them, and then not knowing how to say no, not knowing how to say yes to yourself, is on the flip side. There are shared components to this. So it can become very, you can feel very off course, off the path of the journey that you want to be on. You can be like, you can find yourself in a place, how did I get here? Like, I think there's a Talking Heads song that says that, but I'm saying very seriously, people are there and they're like, how did I get here? Like literally, maybe David Byrne has the same things in Talking Heads, I don't know, but it's just kind of like he does not feel, and when you're in that sort of codependency state, you don't really feel that you have ownership for yourself, that like other people give you joy, you don't have sort of that joy within. Your happiness is coming from things outside of yourself, including making this person happy, making this person feel loved, making this person feel special, supported, listened to, interested in, keep their fire going, even protect them. Men protecting, women protecting men, going to bat for them, standing up for them, try to keep peace in their life. Standing up for men and having to do the fighting for them, trying to settle the score where men cannot. So they find themselves, doing the rescue. And then, then eventually they feel that they should be rescued in return, and then are shocked and surprised when the rescue is not set up, and they're like, now they have developed this secret desire to be rescued. And next thing you know, you're not getting that need that you have then just created a new one within yourself. This can be very problematic. So you have to find the spot where you're at, and understand that the covert narcissist, it remains very aloof, so you're not going to get a lot of interplay, feedback, high fives, hugs, warmth, communication, great discussions, giggly humor. You might not be able to have that. It might feel more like you have to support them in order to keep them up. And then it's very surprising then when they are not there for you in a likewise manner, because it's not, they have a very superficial side, meaning they're living from what is on the surface, not what is inside. And taking it to the extent that it's very too far, that it would be incomprehensible for a lot of people. So it creates a very strange and odd dynamic that will throw a lot of people off. So that's why you have to get grounded. You have to come back to your I am. Step out of the tailwind of the covert narcissist. Go no contact for a while. Get rid of a lot of their depending on where things are, remove items in your life that they have given you, shared, pictures, images, kind of like for you, for them to make their way back. And, in other words, I've still set up my house here. They can be very bad with that. Leaving their tools, leaving their suits, leaving their power tools, I'm sorry. I was thinking about the men in the situation, but where men then go to the extent where they're then trying to sort of keep the relationship and then trying to keep things either in the female psychopath's house or removing what they have implanted in yours. So they might leave something, a makeup kit, lots of pairs of shoes, their underwear drawer, whatever it is that they have left, that makes them sort of, you have to open up the door again. They will, look behind the cracks, infamous, where's my bike? Where's my motorcycle? You might have to get some things back for yourself. Recovering your own belongings. Likewise, get their belongings out of your house. It creates a codependency, where, this dynamic can be very, very severe. And you have to restore then a sense of I am, even if you've been in this sort of spongy feeling of just sort of like, I have, absorbed way too much negativity. I can't even find myself. Like I'm so much wrapped up into others that I don't have an I am, and this scares me. So that shows us where we need to do the work. So that is a great sign. You can actually say that's a positive sign. And the codependency will begin to, you can exit that state because it is a learned defense mechanism. It's an approach, meaning a way you a way you go about things, which has a whole subset of a lot of other emotions, behaviors, thoughts, choices, and decisions, which promulgate you or sort of get you get you going in that direction, like an emotional momentum. And the codependency is a learned defense mechanism to protect yourself. So realize this. It is something you have done to protect yourself. What could be more normal or natural? So stop beating yourself up, feeling that you're stupid, behind, or whatever if you found yourself in the situation. It is merely a way for you to survive. But now that you can kind of emerge from the brush a little bit and you can get the vision for the forest for the trees, to what degree then do you, want to understand this approach to yourself and then make some adjustments and adapt and stop doing those codependent behaviors, which can be very difficult. In other words, it can be like you can feel that it's your go-to thing for like an emotional glue in the relationship. I always do their laundry. I always listen to their stories. I always that keeps stop. Okay, the world is not going to end if you stop doing all these things for them. They need to be in a place, and likewise you need to be in a place. This is about you. This is about liberating you from your need to feel that you have to take care of others and begin to say, what, sisters are doing it for themselves. Brothers are doing it for themselves. Whatever it is, like that song, you have to get to that point through the anger, through the emotions, where you're that riled up, where your anger is now productive and it's now motivating you to do the right thing for you, which might not be the right thing for them. As I say before in previous videos, a lot of healing is disappointing the narcissist. If you've been in a codependent relationship, always promulgating and pacifying the narcissist, stroking the narcissist ego, stop. Stop with the giving. Stop. Put a dam on it. Put, a breaker on it. Put the brakes on it. Put it to a screeching halt. Put your foot down. Put it down. No means no. Begin to trust yourself. When you say, I can't do that anymore, mean it to yourself. Not just like, I shouldn't do that anymore. And then you find that you're doing it again. It's like, I'm not doing that anymore. And then you don't do it anymore. You have to be true to yourself. If you start lying to yourself, which oftentimes will happen as a defense mechanism when you're in this unstable relationship, is a tendency then for people to lie to themselves. Oh, I'll just do this. I won't do that. When in fact, that's not their truth. They can't back it up, So you need to get real with yourself. Have a heart to heart. This will help to liberate you. It's all about you. It's about liberating you from the chains that bind. It's about liberating you from the yokes that are too heavy, the burden that you've had to take on. If it's not shared, it's not shared. Period. End of story. And if it's not healthy, it's not healthy. And so you have to call it what it is. It is what it is. And so with that, you can look at it. You need to be able to see with your senses, and sort of back out of it, rather than feeling still in the trap, feeling that the relationship is a trap, realizing that the relationship has the key to freedom. The relationship tension is presenting the key to the freedom, and are you going to say yes to the key, and are you going to hold on to the key, and are you going to own it? Is this going to be yours, your I am? And then be empowered, which means the ability to have your personal power and design things and have a boundary and a standard, and not say yes when you mean no, and not say no when you mean yes, but knowing how to handle things and not being stifled or stunted or held back by these individuals as a result of the discomfort that they have caused you. I really feel a common trait with a relationship with a narcissist and a psychopath, and the quote people supply, we're not calling this victims, but I would say a very interesting dynamic is that it creates a lot of pleasure for them and a lot of pain for others. So it's a problematic thing to resolve with them, in closure with them, and have discussions with them, because they don't feel that they have done anything wrong. And so it's the suffering is on the supply, the end of the supply, or the target. So they don't share. Oftentimes in that pain, they don't have the empathy, so they don't take on other people's. In fact, they oftentimes think that it's silly to talk about things. Like, why would we even need to talk about this? Like, and you're like, because this is important, because this is what's happening, and this is what I need, and like, this is not normal. Like, this is not making me happy. This is not working. This this is miserable. Like, calling it what it is. Like, and it's not so scary until you can get it out in front of you and look at it. This is miserable. Okay. And then understanding, and then having the breakdown about that dependency issue, which, like, in the psychopathic state, they really truly become sort of very parasitic, meaning there's always a host with which they are off of. There's always a host. They don't always have for themselves. They'll just sort of rummage through relationships. They just sort of cycle through, and they don't have any attachment. So realize that this is a defense mechanism that you have learned and then can unlearn. So hence the tools that we discuss here on the channel that you can pick up and have as your go-to. Rather than, say yes to being empowered. Say yes to leaving the weakness behind. Say yes to leaving the unhappiness behind. Can you do it? Can you do it? Can you say yes to leaving the confusion and unhappiness behind? Can you do it? Who says yes? Amen. Let's get a whoop whoop. Let's say yes. Leave it behind and go in the decision and direction of strength and happiness. Let's keep it very simple. What does that mean for you? What does it look like? If you can write down 10 or 20 things looking forward, what does that look like for you? What does it feel like? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? What is your sort of, intuition of what you would like? This is real. I mean, it's time for you to this is for you to be real with yourself, and then have that spring forth without the censorship of that conscious mind, which, you'll never have that. That's silly. That's too much. That'll never happen. Then you're speaking that into existence. Period. End of story. So you have to realize that the power of words, and that thoughts are things, and that you can create this freedom and liberation for yourself. Literally, you're taking the clampers or whatever it is, the wire cutters, you're cutting that with a big bolt cutter, crack, it's off, you're free. Do you see, you have the ability to do that. It's the willingness, though, to go like this and do it. If that is what is required. Maybe you just want to do a little, maybe cut it off a little. How does that feel? If it's the right thing, then begin to own it in your heart. and know what it is you need to do to address it, and make sure it doesn't trample and create a negative, deleterious impact and imprint on your life moving forward. Because the design and structure of your life moving forward is what you have. So I want you to fall in love with that. And what is required to fall in love with that? What do you need to do to make happen, rearrange, become productive, make known, become decisive? Become decisive. You can do it. I know you know what that little flame is. Even if you need to light a candle, excuse me, continue to go in the direction of your dreams and enforce it. Confirm and validate to yourself, I've got this. I trust my gut. I've got this and I trust my gut. Begin to state that. Affirmations. I call them astromations. How, in pronouncing these with confidence and with intent. And having that 100, you need to have a 100% experience. Period, end of story. Unless you can have conviction, drive your, dig your heels in, and really, put your foot down and know what that grounding feels like. Until you can have that conviction, then that's what you need to work on. You need to work on being grounded and having your feet on the ground and being firmly planted and being empowered, self-resilient, the ability to sort of, not need to enable or have this dependency lifestyle anymore. Just as you had learned it as a defense mechanism, you can unlearn it and reinform and re-educate yourself on what is action and productivity for you. Your interests. Oh, peace and harmony. I've never even done that before. Okay, great. You have a fresh beginning. You have all choices and opportunity ahead for you. Begin to make little steps. What is it that you can do to either, maybe you just need to meditate, maybe you need to take in some good soothing music, a soothing movie, maybe you need to rearrange your bedroom, maybe you want to plan on moving to a better climate. I mean, what are the long and short of it? Know this about yourself today and get to know yourself. You are worth it. It's your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Don't be afraid to admit the truth. You have got it. Don't be afraid to admit the truth with yourself. You can be at one with your secrets, and in the privacy of this video, you will know, and then stop procrastinating. Get going on it. You can do this. You got this. Have a beautiful day.